Vana vevu muri Zimbabwe, one photo, 1,000 words. How many Baloy just broke the internet and exposed Zimbabwe's military double standard? Muri Zimbabwe, welcome back kumuzinda wevanhu pano pachannel kana papage yevanhu chindira kuti tiona pafacebook kana payoutube, the channel where we follow the story all the way down, no matter where it leads. Now, sometimes in politics, the most powerful statement is not made in a press conference. It is not made in a parliament chamber. It is not made in a church sermon or a political rally. Sometimes the most powerful statement is made with a single photograph. Posted quietly, captioned simply, and left for the world to interpret. Zimbabwe, this week, Kenel Minotabo Baloy Chiwenga, the wife of Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, posted a throwback photo on social media. The image was from 2006, 20 years ago. And in the caption, she noted simply that she was already a major in the Zimbabwe National Army back then. That is it. No press conference, no length statement, no political speech, just a photo from 2006 with a caption. And Zimbabwe lost its mind because Zimbabwe, in the context of everything happening right now, that one photo said more about military meritocracy, political influence, and the battle for Zimbabwe's soul than 100 press releases ever could. Zimbabwe, we are going to unpack every single layer of what that image means. And trust me, Zimbabwe, there are many. So who is Minie Baloy, the woman behind the photo? Before we get into political earthquake that photo triggered, let us make sure everybody understands who Kenel Minotabo Baloy Chiwenga actually is. Because this is not just the VP's wife. This is a career soldier with a record that stands entirely on its own. Born in 1976 in Matabeleland South, Baloy joined the Zimbabwe National Army in 1996. In 1998, just 2 years into her military career, she made history as the first Zimbabwean woman to command a peacekeeping platoon during a United Nations mission in Angola. Just in 1998, just 2 years into her military career. So let that sink in. In 1998, the first Zimbabwean woman ever to command a UN peacekeeping platoon. That is not a footnote. That is a landmark in Zimbabwe military history. And she did it before most people had ever heard her name. She was promoted to Kenel in 2019 and was featured in a UN magazine in 2025 for her trailblazing military achievements. Featured in a UN magazine for trailblazing achievements, this is a woman whose military record has been recognized internationally, not just domestically in Zimbabwe. Beyond her military career, Baloy is a successful businesswoman, founder of Minie Private Limited, trading as Style by Minie, a chain of high-end fashion boutiques in Harare. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Chinese and French from Chinapla University of Foreign Languages, plus a long list of additional academic qualifications that demonstrate a drive for self-improvement that goes far beyond the military rank. And then in March 2026, Kenel Baloy was quietly removed from a highly sensitive position in the military intelligence department and reassigned to the commander's pool, a unit where officers are placed without specific duties. From UN peacekeeping pioneer to military intelligence cornerstone to the commander's pool, professional purgatory, all in one administrative decision. While a husband's political rival promotes his own son from major to lieutenant colonel and calls it merit. That is the context of the photo she posted. And now you understand why Zimbabwe lost their minds. Zimbabwe. So the photo decoded what she is really saying. Now, Zimbabwe, let us talk about the art of what Minie did here. Because this woman is not just a soldier. She is clearly also a communicator of the highest order. She did not attack Mnangagwa by name. She did not write a political statement. She did not call a press conference. She posted a 20-year-old photo of herself in uniform as a major and let the arithmetic do the talking. The arithmetic is devastating. In 2006, Minie Baloy was already a major. She served through the hard years. She did the courses. She did the peacekeeping missions. She built a career brick by brick, rank by rank, year by year. She made Kenel in 2019 after more than 2 decades of service. a career trajectory that reflects genuine institutional progression. Sean Mnangagwa told journalists after his promotion ceremony, "I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to the Commander-in-Chief for this recognition. I have served in the army for 16 years. 16 years from entry level to Lieutenant Colonel. In 16 years. While serving in his father's personal protection unit, while his father is the commander-in-chief who signed the promotion order, while the constitutional lawyer who questioned the legality of that promotion was publicly rebuked by the deputy chief secretary, and Minie Baloy, who joined in 1996, who commanded UN peacekeepers in Angola in 1998, who served 30 years, ends up in the commander's pool, without specific duties, professionally frozen. What is emerging is not a series of isolated personal changes, but a pattern, the elevation of loyalist commanders, the strategic displacement of perceived internal rivals, and the fast-tracking of Sean Mnangagwa toward a commanding role within the presidential guard structure. One photo captioned simply, and that entire pattern exposed for every Zimbabwean with a smartphone to see and share and discuss. Vana vevu, masadza eaters. The intelligence amputation, what a removal really means. Zimbabwe, let us go deeper. Let us go deeper. Because the social media story is the visible layer. Underneath it is something far more significant strategically. Baloy had for years occupied a highly sensitive position in the intelligence chain, reportedly acting as a central processing point for intelligence reports coming from the both Zimbabwe National Army and the Air Force intelligence branches before those reports were escalated to senior command structures. Read that again. Listen to that again carefully. She was not just a colonel in uniform. She was a node, a processing point, a hub through which intelligence from two branches of the military passed before reaching senior leadership. That means she saw everything. She knew what was happening across the entire security establishment in real time. By placing Baloy there, Mnangagwa has not merely moved a soldier. He has successfully amputated a vital limb of the vice president's situational awareness within the intelligence community. Amputated. That is the precise word used by the analyst. Not reassigned, not rotated, amputated. A surgical removal of Chiwenga's eyes and ears inside the intelligence architecture at the exact moment when, with Cape 3 approaching, with factional tensions at their peak, with alleged assassination plots being discussed, that intelligence would be the most critical. The agents of this military reshuffle is driven by the president's controversial 2030 agenda. 6 Liberation War veterans have already taken the matter to court. The two factions are set for a major legal face-off on May 20th, 2026. May 20th, 2 days after the Cape 3 first reading on May 18th. They are not just fighting in parliament. They are fighting in courts. They are fighting in military intelligence departments. They are fighting in promotion ceremonies. They are fighting on social media. And every single battlefield connects back to the same question. Who controls Zimbabwe after 2028? Zimbabwe. All right. So let's talk about the Grace Mugabe comparison. The warning in the room. The video report, in fact, there are videos raising comparison that I think is one of the most important analytical points in this entire story. My videos by YouTube right now are, and it is the one comparison that, and it is the one that should make everyone currently riding high in the 23rd faction stop and think very carefully. The comparison to Grace Mugabe. Remember Grace. Remember how untouchable she seemed. Remember the shopping trips, the influence, the first family branding, the G4 faction, the rallies, the intimidation of rivals. Remember how solid all that looked from the outside. Remember how the people around here seemed to believe that political fortune was permanent. Zimbabwe. Family-linked appointments are not unique to Zimbabwe. They have been observed across several African governments. In Equatorial Guinea, President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo has long had his son serving as vice president. In the Republic of Congo, Denis Christeu Sassou Nguesso was appointed to a cabinet role. Analysts say such patterns continue to fuel debate over governance, meritocracy, and institutional independence. And in every single one of those cases, the pattern eventually breaks, sometimes through elections, sometimes through coups, sometimes through international pressure, sometimes through the very institutions that were being captured, finally finding enough collective spine to say no. But it always breaks because political fortune built on proximity to power rather than genuine institutional legitimacy is always temporary. Grace Mugabe learned that on a November night in 2017, when the man she thought was defeated, the man who had fled the country in fear of his life, came back because another man rode tanks. And overnight, everything Grace had built, every faction she had assembled, every rival she had humiliated was gone. Zimbabwe, she went from untouchable to exile in days. The warning to those currently buying MPs with cars, printing T-shirts, issuing gunfire threats against vice presidents, and fast-tracking presidential sons through military ranks is sitting right there in recent history, and it does not require a political science degree to read it. Zimbabwe's veteran military establishment has a very long memory, and its patience, as the report notes, should not be underestimated. Zimbabwe, let's talk about the political advice backlash. Who are these people lecturing veterans? Let us address the other thread in this story, the one about the political advice being offered to seasoned leaders by people described as, and I love this phrase, jumping from a random bush. There's a growing and very justified frustration among Zimbabwe's veteran political and military class about the fringe groups, the youth leaders, the social media warriors, and the paid voices who are now positioning themselves as the ideological guides of the 2030 campaign. People who were primary school during Operation Restore Legacy. People who have never attended a Politburo meeting, never commanded troops, never navigated the actual machinery of Zimbabwean state power. Now appearing on platforms lecturing Chiwenga, lecturing Mnangagwa, lecturing people who have been doing this since before they were born. The critique being made is sharp, and I think it is largely correct. These individuals are not speaking their own minds. They are not expressing genuine political convictions developed through experience and reflection. They are driving agendas on behalf of others, serving as amplifiers for factional interests, while presenting themselves as independent voices. And the danger of that, beyond the obvious credibility problem, is that when the faction they are serving changes direction, or falls, or is exposed, these individuals have no political foundation to stand on. They were never building anything real. They were just making noise for someone else's benefit. We are witnessing the final stages of the civilianization of the coup. Mnangagwa has proven far more adept at the dark arts of institutional maneuvering than his military rivals. By the time Chiwenga realizes the extent of his isolation, the structures that once supported him will have been entirely rebuilt in the image of his rival. That is the warning from one analyst. But here's the counter-analysis, and it is equally important. Chiwenga has been written off before. He was written off when he was sick. He was written off when Mary Mbayo's court case was dragging his name through the mud. He was written off when Sanyatwe was reassigned. He was written off when Minie was moved to the commander's pool. And yet, here he is, in Manicaland, laughing, shaking hands with the 2030 faction's provincial chairman, moving across provinces, talking to generals, speaking in coded parables that the entire nation understands. The people jumping from random bushes to offer political advice might want to start the endurance before they issue their next statement. Okay. Zimbabwe, the bigger picture. What this means for every Zimbabwean. Zimbabwe, let me bring this home. Because beyond the drama of the first families and the military chess games, there is a real question for real people. What does it mean for Zimbabwe when military promotion is determined not by decades of service? UN peacekeeping missions, intelligence expertise, and institutional contribution, but by whose child you are and whose security detail you serve in. This strategy, Murez Babu, of embedding loyalists may be flawed. It would be naive to imagine that placing a perceived ally at the top of the army is genuine coup-proofing. The historical lesson from Zimbabwe and across Africa is that armies built on personal loyalty rather than institutional integrity are inherently unstable. When the personal relationship breaks, and personal relationships always eventually break under enough political pressure, the loyalty breaks with it. An army built on personal loyalty rather than institutional integrity, that is not just a political problem. That is a national security problem. The Zimbabwe National Army exists to defend borders, protect civilians, respond to disasters, and maintain the constitutional order. It cannot do any of those things effectively if the people running it got there because of who their father is, rather than what they have earned. And the young captain watching all of this, the one General Mapranga warned us about, General Winston Sigauke Mapranga, who joined the army with genuine patriotism, who has done the courses and the missions and the hard postings. That young captain is taking a note, filing it away, and deciding what it means for their future relationship with an institution that he has just told them loudly, clearly, and publicly that merit is optional if you have the right surname. That morale wound does not heal quickly, and it does not heal quietly. Zimbabwe. Right, so, get chivalrous. This is one photo, one truth. Zimbabwe, Minie Baloy posted one photo from 2006 with a simple caption. And in that one image, she captured something that 1,000 political analysts have been struggling to articulate in thousands of words. She captured the difference between a career built on service and a rank handed down like a family heirloom. She captured what meritocracy is supposed to look like and what it currently does not look like in Zimbabwe's military. She captured the frustration of every professional who has been bypassed, sidelined, reassigned, or packed in purgatory. Not because they failed at their job, but because they are married to the wrong man. What is emerging is not a series of isolated personal changes, but a deliberate recalibration of Zimbabwe's command architecture. The question now is no longer whether the security sector is being reshaped. It is how far this restructuring will go and what it ultimately means for the fragile balance of power. That question is going to be answered in the next 18 days, 16 days, Zimbabwe. 18, Monday. All right, in WhatsApp groups, in church sermons, in throwback photos, or on social media. And the answer, whatever it is, will define Zimbabwe for the next decade. So tell me, Zimbabwe, did Minie's photo say what you think it said? Is this the most elegant political statement of Zimbabwe's 2026 crisis? And what does it tell you about the war being fought right now inside those barracks? Not with guns, but with ranks, reassignments, and 20-year-old photographs. All right. Drop it in the comments, your thoughts, share this video, because May 18th is coming and every Zimbabwean needs to understand what is at stake. This is your boy, Pano Pamzinda, fearless, free, pro-democracy. As always, stay blessed, stay tuned, stay subscribed. Peace.